Today we're looking at multiplying and dividing numerical fractions, which will then lead us into multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions. Multiplying and dividing numerical fractions has a far simpler process than adding or subtracting. It is just a case of taking the top lines, so 2 times 1, and multiplying them together, and then the bottom lines, 3 times 4, and multiplying them together. Okay, and the answer has come out at 2 over 12, but we know from previously that any fraction that can be simplified should be done so this answer is actually 1/6. Okay, I'm going to show you now how to simplify the fractions before you even begin the multiplication to make it as easy as possible for you. Here we have 3/4 times 2/9. 3 and 9 appear in the same times table and can be simplified. So rather than having this as 3/4 over 2/9 times 2/9, I'm going to simplify and say that 3 goes into 9 3 times, and it goes into 3 once, so this can be a 1 and this can be a 3. So I've now got 1/4 times 2/3. And then if you see 2 and 4 also have factors in common, 2 goes into 2 once and it goes into 4 twice, so I'm going to simplify this fraction. So now what I have is 1/2 times 1/3, which is a much easier fraction to multiply than what we originally had. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, now we're looking at what happens when it involves a mixed number. Unlike with adding and subtracting fractions, it's not possible to just multiply the whole number part and then the fraction part. What we have to do is convert it into a top-heavy fraction or an improper fraction. So 1 and 2/5 means that within that one whole we have 5/5 plus an additional 2/5, so we have 7/5. And then we're multiplying by, okay, so within one whole we would have 4/4, so within 2 wholes we have 8/4 plus 3, making 11/4. Okay, and just to have a wee check that none of that can simplify. 7 and 4 do not have a factor in common other than 1. 5 and 11 do not have a factor in common other than 1. So now let's just multiply 77 over 20. And then because your answer was written as a mixed number, your question was written as a mixed number, your answer should be written as a mixed number. So this is 3 and 17/20, as I can get 3 sets of 20 out of 77, that's 60, and then I have 17 left over. Now we're looking at division. For division, okay, if you look at these individually, 3 divided by 2 is not going to give us something on the top line of our fraction that is easy to work with. And 4 divided by 3 is not going to give us something on the bottom of our fraction that is easier to work with. So what we need to use is what's called the inverse fraction. Now if you think about the number 2, dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. Okay, these are inverse because they are opposites in what they will achieve. Okay, so we're going to look for the inverse fraction of 2/3. Okay, and it's far simpler to find this than you think. The inverse fraction of 2/3 is 3/2. And instead of doing a division, we're going to multiply. Because we're using the inverse fraction, we've got to use the inverse operation. So we essentially have 3/4 times 3/2. Okay, and just to check that your opposites don't have any factors in common other than 1, and in this case they don't, so this is 9 over 8. Okay, this is a top-heavy fraction again, but your answer didn't have any mixed numbers, your question didn't have any mixed numbers, so it's not necessary to change your answer to a mixed number, but this one would be 1 and 1/8. Okay, now we have 4/5 divided by 8/15. Again, we're still looking for that inverse fraction on the end term here, 8 over 15. So our inverse fraction on that one is going to be 15 over 8. We're going to multiply, so 4/5 multiplied by 15 over 8. And in this example, 4 and 8 do share a factor in common. They share 4, which goes in once and which goes in twice. And 15 and 5 share a factor in common. It's 5, which goes in once and which goes in 3 times. So now we have 1 over 1, so 1 times 3 over 2, so the answer is 3 over 2, or 1 1/2. And just like with multiplying, it's not possible to just go straight in and divide your whole numbers and then divide your fractions. It has to be written as an improper fraction. So that's what we're going to do first. 1 2/3 means that we have 3/3 within the whole plus another 2, so we have 5/3. 3 1/8 means that we have three sets of eighths in this whole, so we have 24 plus another one, 25 divided by 8. Okay, so looking for that inverse fraction on this again, we are going to have that we're multiplying by 8/25. So we have 5/3 multiplied by 8/25. And if we look here, 5 and 25 share a factor in common. It's 5, so we've got 1 here and 5 here. So 1/3 times 8/5. So we're going to get 8 over 15. Okay, and on the final slide, I've just got the definition of what an inverse fraction is. So it's fractions which can be used to carry out a multiplication on what was originally a division question. And that should say involving fractions. Okay, it's explicitly about those questions involving fractions. Okay, great.